Another thing we watched, which has to go down the video game path, is The Last of Us.
Yes.
This is considered one of the best shows made this year.
It's gotten basically a solid 9 from IGN.
And other departments.
And pretty much every fan that I've seen posting about it on Twitter, when I was on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, like, people are just going insane over this.
So, I'm going to give my hot take. My hot take is, it's fine. I thought, when we played the game, I really liked it. I felt the emotional story. Never planned on playing it ever again. No. Didn't recommend it to anybody. I was like, I was like, because I'm not really into zombies.
No.
I'm not really into post-apocalyptic. Not really.
Gore.
I'm not into gore and language. So all that, I'm just like, I can...
Hyper-language, hyper-darkness.
Yeah, and so having this 10-year-old constantly cursing just irritated the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So when I played the game, but I still really enjoyed it. I was like, man, when I went into that room, spoilers, I killed all those doctors. Mm-hmm. And I made sure I killed everybody on my way out. Mm-hmm. And I made sure that I lied to her and everything. So I was just like...
yeah, like...
I was into the story.
Well, I think because we both enjoy stories about human connection.
We do. And so when the show came around, it's basically shot for shot. Mm-hmm. Basically.
It's pretty dang good, though. Like,
it's really good.
It looks great. The story is actually told the right way.
And so we were talking afterwards, and I was like, I think the biggest thing I took away from this is if you're going to take a story-based game, make it...
If you're not going to do a different story,
make it the same.
It needs to be exactly the same.
Because that's what people connected to. This is what good writers already came up with. Mm-hmm. Do the same. So other story-based games, like we have a God of War story coming on Amazon.
Horizon Zero Dawn's coming.
Just do the same story. Mm-hmm. Don't try to change it. Just do the same one.
Mm-hmm. If you're it's gonna so it's that thing. There's a design thing that we have. When you put spaces in a project, you need to be deliberate in your spaces. If it's too small, it just looks like an accident. And if it's just not noticeable enough, then it doesn't make sense to have it there. So if you're going to make a game into a TV show or a movie, it needs to be either wholly different, or at least, enough different, like 70% different, or 70% the same.
So this is where I say it either needs to be, if it's a story-based game, just do the story. Mm-hmm. If it's not a story-based game,
okay.
For example, I know there's lore in Dota. Mm-hmm. I know there's lore in League of Legends.
Destiny
and stuff like that.
Overwatch.
I know the lore is there, but they're not story-based games.
Yeah, World of Warcraft had a movie.
Which I actually thought was fine. Wasn't great, but it was fine.
Didn't see it.
Use the lore as a backdrop, but tell your own story. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think Dota worked out so well. That's why I think League of Legends Arcane worked out so well. Because they were their own individual stories based on the lore of this rich world they've created.
It's basically fan fiction.
But professional fan fiction.
Yes, professional fan fiction.
Yeah, so I think that's the way that you do it. Mm-hmm. Stop doing stuff where, like, you pull up Assassin's Creed, which was not a good movie. Assassin's Creed is a story-based game.
Still really like that actor, though.
I like Michael Fassbender. So even though you tried to tell your own story, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. You tried to fit this into something that you don't understand. So you should have just done the story that the game had already done. Those are story-based games. So that's my hot take on that. So I thought Last of Us was fine, and I thought it was fine because I'd already seen it. I'm not a rewatcher. I'm not a person who goes back and reads something multiple times. I've got a pretty decent memory.
Me.
You are the opposite.
It's comforting for me. And a lot of people who do reread, rewatch, re-listen, whatever, will agree with me. It's because it's a comfort thing. We know it's coming. And, sometimes we also miss stuff. And we just kind of, we enjoy revisiting the adventure. It's like finding an old friend.
Yeah. but I am not. So for me, it was fine. I thought the acting was great. I thought it looked great.
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is just on fire right now.
What is it? I'm a big fan of this multiverse where Pedro Pascal goes around collecting orphans like they're Pokemon. Because he's got Grogu and Ellie now.
So if you don't know The Last of Us story, I would recommend it. If you have played the game, I don't recommend it because it's the same.
If you're an Apocalypse fan,
missing it. If you're an Apocalypse or a zombie fan, I recommend it. So I think that's perfectly fine. Mando, we were just talking about this, I think last night or the night before.
I was talking with one of the soccer dads about it too, and then I came back over and told you what we discussed.
So yesterday. I'm torn, which is we've been treated with a lot of good television recently.
Yes.
Andor, amazing. We loved it. Can't remember if we did a video on it.
We did.
Okay, great. I loved it. It was great.
You can go watch that.
You can go watch that video.
Maybe I'll figure out how to put the thing here.
Somewhere over here, or please just go find and watch it. It was a lot of fun. Mando is all over the place. I really enjoy the show. I really enjoy the lore that they're putting out. I really enjoy Pedro Pascal.
I am loving Dad Mando with son Grogu, and Grogu's learning to talk and say, "This is the way." And...
But their storytelling is all over the place. They'll jump here to there to here.
It's choppy.
It's very choppy because, like, someone pointed out on something I was watching, if you look at the story as a whole, Mando, his whole thing was bringing this character back to his people. Season 1, okay. Season 2, he brought them back to Luke. If you start season 3 after season 2, you're like, wait, I thought he was gone. Because his return actually happened in Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
That's the first misstep.
Which, for me, I tied all of the Mando episodes in Boba Fett into Mando.
So, yeah, in my head canon, it's all connected. But if you're just I'm a Mando fan, I don't care about Boba Fett.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Boba Fett.
You miss that, and it's super important.
Yeah.
Which Book of Boba Fett was, which we also did a video on.
Terrible.
It wasn't terrible,
there was
but
a lot of fun in it, but it
wasn't a
the
great
best.
series, which we also did a video on. Go find that somewhere.
And I'm just kind of angsty about Ahsoka's head stuff.
Yeah, we'll see how the show ends up turning out. Ultimately, it'll be the writing. But anyway, and so far, the writing's been kind of eh. So that's how you start season 3. He's back, and you're caught off guard. Wait, you're back.
Yeah.
For us, we weren't caught off guard, but someone pointed that out. I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
The second thing is, now he wants a droid.
Which his whole thing was, I don't like droids.
So he goes to get IG-88. Makes sense.
It's the only droid he trusts. He's like, I trust this guy.
Immediately gives up that battle and just takes a rando droid, which makes no sense for the character.
Because finding the part would apparently be impossible, and he's like, okay. And so then, what's her bucket from the landing dock? She's like, what about this guy? He's got all these great qualities, and you shut up because I'm telling him you're awesome, and he's going to buy you. And then Mando does.
It honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Which, it is the same droid.
It is.
From the movies.
Yeah.
Who blew his
motivator.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you jump to, okay, I guess he's just on the redemption kick. We're going to do that. Finishes that in one episode.
Yeah.
Which they throw a whole bunch of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, he's got to go bathe in the living waters in the mines of Mandalore.
But you have your mythosaur, cool, awesome. You have Bo-Katan, cool, awesome. They blow up her home, cool, awesome.
Sad.
But then they cut away to this other story.
Yeah.
Like, immediately, we're... Like
40 minutes of the guy who was trying to clone something from Grogu.
We were completely caught off, like physically caught off guard. We're like, wait, what is going on?
Yeah, we both looked at each other and we're like, we were watching Mando.
And then it keeps going. And we're like, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Which
it was like our kids at commercial. They're like, I was watching that. It's like, yeah, but it's
a
commercial.
Why'd you change the channel? I didn't. It's a commercial. They're just not used to it.
Yeah. So this was that was it for us. It's like we were watching that, and Disney's like, no, you're watching this now.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was interesting.
No,
that 40 minutes was interesting.
And it was. I actually equate that a lot more to Andor. It was very spy drama stuff, blah, blah, blah. Politics and intrigue.
Yeah, dealing with
I do think they're going to tie it back in. But as far as storytelling goes, if this is the story you wanted to do, You should intercut it in with the rest of the story throughout all the seasons.
The way that the Golden Compass tied book 1 and 2 together in the right way, or His Dark Materials.
Or the way that Andor, which is now for me the golden standard of Star Wars, cuts in Andor story with
To Luthien.
to Luthien story
To Mon Mothma.
to Mon Mothma story. It just you constantly flip back, so you know where everybody's at. Even if they're short segments, you know where everybody's at.
Yeah,
you
it's-
know they're all going to collide at some point.
It's not like we just followed Andor for 4 episodes and then went back in time to follow Luthien for the 2 episodes that he was
Some
doing
shows
stuff in
do that.
between.
I hate it.
I don't
Some
like
shows do it, and I hate it.
Yeah.
But this was completely at the height where we're both like, not her home.
Uh-huh.
Cut away. Whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was so I love Mando. I'm going to keep watching it. They have a storytelling
I'm
problem.
gonna 3D that print that armor one day.
Someday we will buy a 3D printer and we will print that armor.
Heck yes.
And you can have Bo's armor.
Ooh.
There.
I don't know. Sabine though.
Or Sabine's armor. Yeah,
Sabine's
she's
pretty
pretty. She's
stiff.
like your spirit animal.
She is. I love her.
But we're watching it. It's great. We'll probably do some more videos on it. I just hope they clean up their storytelling because right now it's not great.
Yeah.
Disney's having a problem with a lot of their stuff, and it's
For what it's worth, though, don't let this throw you off from watching any older shows, though, too. So I was talking with that soccer dad, and he was like, yeah, like, I didn't know that Bo-Katan's armor was supposed to resemble, like, a night owl and stuff. I was like, well, actually, if you watch the Clone Wars, you learn a little bit about Bo-Katan and her history and the Death Watch and the Mandalorians and all of that with the Clone Wars and everything. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yes.
even though the Clone Wars is also a mess, it jumps all over the
is.
place.
It is.
Great television, but it still jumps all over the place.
I'm sure there's a list somewhere of the proper order to watch the episodes.
There is. Many
So,
people have done
yeah,
this.
Don't
Yeah.
let any of this new stuff throw you off from watching any of the older stuff if you're like on the fence about it.
Yeah. So it's been good. We've enjoyed it. You should check it out. We'll probably talk more about it when we either get to the end or have more time.
Yeah.